Western Teacher Live, talking about public education, unionism and much more.
Hello and welcome to Western Teacher Live, the podcast of the State School Teachers Union of Western Australia. My name is Bob Thing and I'm delighted to have with me today the Senior Vice President of the State School Teachers Union of WA, Natalie Blewitt, who is here to talk about a range of issues. Natalie, let's start with a mention of what's been going on over the past week or so with the For Every Child funding campaign. We've seen people from all over Australia, from the various AU branches converging on Canberra. What's going on?
Yes, hi Bob, and welcome back to all our regular listeners. So there's been a lot that's been happening in the past couple of weeks or so with regards to our For Every Child funding campaign. So we've had vehicles from all of the different branches and territories, all of our associated branches all across the country, all of course members of the AEU, driving from all corners of Australia and converging in Canberra to deliver thousands of postcards to the Prime Minister calling for fair funding.
And we've talked about fair funding on previous podcasts. I'm sure our listeners will know that. And welcome, if you are new to the podcast, you can go back and find the full list on our website at sstuwa.org.au. Part of that process too, this is about getting the government to live up to its pre-election commitment of ensuring that every public school gets 100% of its funding. Currently, we see there's a big difference, and there has indeed been some full-page ads run in the newspapers around the country. And we'll just read this. It's an open letter to the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. It is signed, of course, by the AU, but by a whole lot of other organisations, including pieces of paper like WAXO and the social services, Save the Children, all the people who recognise how important it is that we fund education fully. So just going to read you that quickly, the text of that open letter. It says, Dear, our children are counting on you, Mr Albanese. Every child has the right to learn and to be supported to reach their full potential at school. That is the principle that unites our diverse organisations, and that is why we have joined together to support the full funding of public schools. Properly funded public schools in every community are the best way to ensure that children, no matter their background or circumstances, can have their needs met and that the teaching profession has the resources and tools needed to deliver a high-quality education. But right now, only 1.3% of public schools are funded at the minimum level governments agreed was required more than a decade ago. This must change. We welcome your commitment to work with state and territory governments to fix this unacceptable situation and fully fund public schools. The agreements you reach with each government and next year should ensure every public school is fully funded by 2028 at the latest. Education is closely linked to the life chances of Australia's children and the prosperity of our nation, and the need for this life-changing investment is urgent and must not be further delayed. Its benefits would be profound for our children and our country. Our children deserve a better, fairer and inclusive education system. Fully funding public schools is a precondition to achieving that. It is also essential to realising your vision that no one in our country is held back and no one is left behind. Our children are counting on you and your government. As we say, that's the open letter that has been delivered to Anthony Albanese in Parliament in Canberra, and we do hope that, Natalie, that they come to the party, because I see now that the figure, we've used a figure around $1,800 per child per year. That's now a little bit higher, $2,000 per child in every school. That sort of money would make a huge difference.
It certainly would, Bob. And I was also just going to mention that about the underfunding for every single student that attends public school across Western Australia. I know that if you've tuned into previous podcasts, there has been a conversation about the fair funding, but I think it's absolutely critical to understand that our students are missing out on critical funding to be able to support the education to give them the best start in life.
And that's very true, and that's why people like our General Secretary, Mary Franklyn, was among those who drove across Iandale, one of our industrial organisers, in very boldly branded vehicles so that we could stop on the way and talk to members and collect more postcards and more sign-ups. So if you're out and about, it's Christmas. I know we've said these on this podcast before, but it's the time of year when MPs turn up at your schools and they want to stand up on the stage and share with the community the successes that you're delivering for your kids in your schools. Just have a polite chat and ask them to back the campaign for full funding. Nothing aggressive, just be polite, give them the facts. $2,000 per child per school for every child in a public school in their electorates.
And you certainly can't miss the purple van. So keep your eye open for the purple van that's driving around with the branding of the For Every Child. It looks fantastic. You can't miss it.
You can't. That's very true. Now, Natalie, on to more local matters. It's that time when people start thinking about next year. And some people probably wishing desperately for this year to end, but certainly looking forward to next year. And some people will be stepping up to a crucial role as Level 3 classroom teachers. I believe you were at an event not so long ago where those people were honoured. So tell us a little bit about what that job entails. Not that you'd know much about it, of course, because you're only actually a Level 3 classroom teacher yourself.
That's right, Bob. So I actually achieved my Level 3 classroom teacher status way back in 2009. So, we did actually have the celebration event. Now, that's actually put together by the wonderful volunteers at the Level 3 Classroom Teacher Association. A fantastic event was held at Bob Hawke College, and it's a really great opportunity to celebrate this year's successful Level 3 classroom teachers, to which there have been 65 successful applicants this year. So it was wonderful to be able to celebrate with them and their support network, whether it be their parents or their partners or their children. It was great to see so many fantastic smiling faces, and I wish them all the best as they take on their new Level 3 classroom teacher role for 2024. So if I can, talk a little bit about Level 3 classroom teachers. So what the listeners may not know is that the State School Teachers Union was actually instrumental in pursuing this valuable and very meaningful pathway for teachers who wish to remain in the classroom and not actually step into or apply for a school leadership position. So it was actually only in the early 1990s that the State School Teachers Union and the Department of Education began these discussions on how we could actually make this career path happen. So at the time, there was no other state that actually had this form of career progression that encouraged exemplary classroom teachers to remain in the classroom. So from those discussions, some 3 decades ago now, we actually have a sustained career path option to be able to identify and acknowledge exemplary practice, and one that allows fantastic teachers to be able to remain in the classroom, but also to build the capacity of teaching and learning of their colleagues and to ensure the very best for the students in public education.
And that is such a crucial role because it's sort of a bridge, isn't it, between classroom teacher and say principals and other school leaders. What's the biggest difference in the day-to-day role for those people who become Level 3 classroom teachers?
So there's a number of roles that can be undertaken, and the Level 3 classroom teacher role varies from school to school and across the state. So originally, way back prior to 2013, there was an opportunity for a number of incentives if you were actually to become a Level 3 classroom teacher. So the first one was permanency. So if you were a fixed-term teacher and you were successful at gaining your Level 3 classroom teacher status, you were made permanent. The second one was, of course, a pay incremental increase. And the third one was actually 0.1 release time, so 0.1 FTE, half a day out of the classroom, where the Level 3 classroom teachers could focus on their leadership role within a school. Now, unfortunately, with budget cuts at the end of 2013, those, apart from the salary increase, we actually lost the ability for permanency for Level 3 classroom teachers, as well as the removal of the 0.1 FTE. That meant a collapse of a number of programs across schools, which is really unfortunate. But of course, we continue as the SSTUWA to advocate for that reinstatement of the 0.1 FTE so that Level 3 classroom teachers can continue to do the great work and have that release time in schools. Being a Level 3 classroom teacher myself, I know that half a day is nowhere near enough. And like other Level 3 classroom teachers, they would be doing a remarkable amount of work in their own time. So if we could reinstate that 0.1 for everybody, that would certainly go a long way for the amazing programs that happen in schools. Now, if anybody is considering thinking about applying for Level 3 classroom teacher status in 2024, I'll just give a quick plug to our Education and Training Centre. We actually have a professional learning about Level 3 classroom teacher Stage 1 applications on Friday the 19th of January, and that's actually run by PDT Consultancy. Vanessa Herbert does a fantastic job. And what this course will actually do is to walk participants through the application process, explore the five teacher portfolio competencies, discuss and prepare an introductory statement, as well as practice addressing each competency against the rubric. And they can also have a bit of a look at some relevant workplace evidence as well is presented at that professional development. So if you are considering applying for Level 3, you do have to address a two-stage process. One is a written portfolio and one is a reflective practice, what we call a reflective practice. So Stage 1, you have to address 5 competencies, different, of course, from applying for a job application, so completely different. So if you've applied for a job app before, then think of this as a completely different process. It's not addressing the AITSL standards at all. It has 5 competencies, of which you have to score an average of 3.2 for each of the competencies. So if I can break it down into a fairly simple, and this is very oversimplifying it, but competency 1 is about you as an exemplary teacher in the classroom. So what you do with your kids in your classroom, how you teach them, what exemplary techniques that you use for programs in your class. Competency number 2 is about assessment and how that assessment drives your teaching. Competency number 3 is about yourself as an individual and what professional development and how you can improve your practice via professional development. Competency 4 is all about how you can support and build capacity of others. And competency 5 is about the wider community. So that's, Bob, a very simplified version of those competencies, and they are very detailed. So it does take a while to put them together. So if it's something that you have been contemplating doing, the holidays are always a great time to start, although I would suggest that you take some time to rest and recharge first, of course, after this very, very hectic year. But it's a good opportunity to start to think about your career progression if that's something that you are thinking about. And just before I finish talking about Level 3 classroom teachers, certainly a topic I could talk forever on, certainly one of my passion areas. If you are listening and you are already a Level 3 classroom teacher, I just would like to point out that there is funding available. So I spoke before about the removal of the 0.1 FTE, but there are 3 potential targeted initiatives that your school may be receiving. So it'd be worth having a conversation with your school leadership team to see if you are receiving one of these targeted initiatives, and that could actually assist in providing you with some release time. So the first targeted initiative is actually labelled Targeted Initiative Level 3 Classroom Teachers Additional Teacher Time. So to be eligible for this funding, the school must employ at least one Level 3 classroom teacher. The second target initiative is schools with low proportion of Level 3 classroom teachers. And the third one, if your school actually signed up for the additional support for the delivery of mental health programs, there's another 0.1, the equivalent of 0.1 FTE funding that's coming to your school. So it'd be well worth having a conversation with your school leadership team if you are an existing Level 3 classroom teacher to see if you can access some of this money to be able to release you so that you can undertake the amazing work that you do in your schools.
That's extremely comprehensive and very valuable to people. So just to remind you, if you do want to look at that ETC course, applying for Level 3 Classroom Teacher Stage 1, starts Friday the 19th of January at 9 a.m. Go to the SSTUWA website, which is sstuwa.org.au. You're probably already on there if you're listening to this podcast or have been there before, and they will be able to give you more information. And if you're a member of the SSTUWA, you save $120 on the cost of that course. It's only $180, which is amazing value. If you're a non-member, then why? But no, if you are a non-member, we welcome new members, and of course your fees are tax deductible. So you could immediately get $120 back on your membership investment by doing that. Or you can apply and come on the course as a non-member, but that would cost $300. So members get a good deal on that one. And it's one of the many, many courses that you will find at our Education and Training Centre, which can help you develop your career. And just an observation, we used as school teachers, union members and workers, staff, to seeing that old adage in the past, well, like, teachers don't deserve more money, they get such long holidays. Well, forget the fact that most teachers are working pretty much all weekend and during the holidays. An awful lot of their personal development, professional development that they need to keep registered and to keep up teaching children to such a fantastic degree is done during those very same holidays. So it's not all rest and rec. As Natalie says, put your well-being and first, have a breather during the holidays, but that is a really good opportunity to take that step. Natalie, we are seeing some issues in leadership roles in schools, as we are with teachers, because of the lack of resources and the growing teacher shortage. Are you seeing the same thing with level 3 applications? Are we getting less? Because it's certainly a big issue with principalships, with people applying to be school leaders. Those numbers are dropping away. Some schools aren't even bothered to advertise some leadership roles because they know they won't get a suitable applicant. Is that happening too with level 3?
There has been a slight decline this year in the number of applications. In previous years, even over the COVID period, we did actually have a similar amount of people who were applying for Level 3 classroom teacher status. I think the important thing to remember is that there's no quota. I think that's still a bit of a myth that's out there, that they only take a certain amount or there's a certain number of applications that they assess. There's no quota at all when it comes to Level 3 classroom teacher status. If you have met the competency level, if you've achieved that average of 3.2 per competency, then you're awarded Level 3 classroom teacher status. So previously I spoke just about Stage 1. Stage 2 is a reflective practice where you actually have a guided discussion with your colleagues. So more information about that can be found via the department's ICON site, but also by getting in contact with the Level 3 Classroom Teacher Association, they can help you out as well.
Excellent. Well, there's a load of resources there. We do encourage you to take that step and take the next level in your career. Natalie, going back to the other end of the spectrum, we're going to have a lot of people, well, in fact, quite a few of them already in front of classrooms, not finishing their qualifications because of the teacher shortage, but a lot of people are going to be coming out of universities and they're going to be thinking now, they've got their qualification, they want to get their first job or they've landed their first gig. Many of them will have been student members of the SSTUWA, but now all of a sudden it's not free and they might have to pay some fees. Why should they? What can we do for them?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bob. We have actually, Chloe from our growth team has actually done some podcasts about this very thing. So one of them that I would actually encourage all early career teachers to have a listen to is to the podcast that says Don't Swim Alone, Join the New Educator Network. But in lieu of that, and if you haven't been able to listen to that one, it's very important to be a member of the State School Teachers Union for the very simplistic reason would be for support and protection. So people actually engage with the union on a level that they're comfortable with. I would obviously absolutely encourage everyone to become a member with us to make sure that you are protected. We actually have a fantastic team of people that are dedicated to working for our members, whether it be our growth team, our member assist team, your senior officers, of course, district organisers, our legal case advocates, education training centre. There's a broad range of people who are here to support you. If you have just graduated and you are picking up your first job, it's really important to know that you will need to upgrade or refresh your membership from student membership to becoming fully financial. The growth team obviously can help you with that as well. So you can send them an email at New Educator email address, or you can also get in contact with them via the main phone number, which is 9210 6000, and ask for a member of the growth team. They'll be able to help you refresh your membership. If you are actually a pre-service teacher, we will be contacting you if you indicated that your graduation date was the end of this year. A member of the team will be getting in contact with you over the January school holidays to help you refresh your membership to make sure that you are fully prepared and ready to go for the start of the 2024 school year. So a number of reasons. One that I mentioned, of course, is the support and protection. Another reason why we would encourage new educators to be members with us is, of course, the New Educator Network, fantastic advice, support and networking opportunities for teachers in the early career or early part of their careers. We've mentioned the Education and Training Centre, of course, but of course there's support at your workplace branch, and who could forget that we are actually just in negotiations at the moment, so only members will get to vote. So if we get to an opportunity at the beginning of next year where we actually during the year next year where we actually put out for a member ballot to see how our negotiations are progressing, then only members get to vote. Only members get to have a say on their terms and conditions of employment. So a huge reason to be a part of the State School Teachers Union. Also a range of discounted goods and services, also wills for members, so another great holiday activity. If you haven't already, something I need to do is to refresh my will. So that's a great plus for our members as well. But you have support and protection at every level, on an individual level, at a medium level with your school or workplace branch, and of course on the bigger picture level, having a say on your terms and conditions of employment.
There's a whole host of reasons there, and they're all good ones, and that membership is tax deductible, don't forget. So all very good indeed, and we'd love to expand our membership again, continue it. It keeps on growing. Despite what you might read about unions, the SSTUWA membership continues to grow year on year. So we hope whether you're a person looking and aspiring to become a level 3 classroom teacher, or you're a person who's is just starting out, there's a place for you at the SSTUWA. Natalie, in closing, we've covered a lot of ground in a very short time, but I did just want to mention that we are at the moment in the midst of the 16-day campaign from the state government, which looks to draw attention to and help people both prevent and escape from and deal with domestic violence. Very important initiative, and one this union is very supportive. Of course, we're one of the first unions anywhere in Australia to secure domestic violence leave for our members.
That's right, Bob, we were. So definitely an added benefit of being a union member. That came through our membership base to actually ensure that people, and it doesn't matter your gender, whether you are, it doesn't matter at all, everybody can be subject to domestic violence. So it's really important that you avail yourself of the leave that is available if you do find yourself in that situation, and please do reach out for help.
And you can do that, of course. We have a dedicated women's contact officer within the SSTUWA, so you can get in touch with them, all confidential, and we'll help wherever we can and direct you to more assistance as you need it. So thank you very much to Natalie Blewitt, the Senior Vice President of the SSTUWA, for joining me today on Western Teacher Live, podcast of the State School Teachers Union of Western Australia. And most of all, thank you to you, our listeners, for joining us. It's been a new initiative this year. We've got a couple more to go before the end of the year, and we've been really pleased with the number of people who are downloading and listening to the podcast. So tell your friends if you've enjoyed it. Don't tell them if you haven't. Thank you very much. Bye.
Do you know your rights? Our Know Your Rights sheets are your easy-to-use guide to key employment rights, conditions and union advice on issues including leave, work health and safety, workload and more.